Greetings, my friend. Thank you for joining me once again on Inner Citadel. If you're here, it means you seek understanding of life, psychology, and wisdom that has stood the test of time. Stoicism is not just a philosophy. It is a tool that allows us to see the world as it truly is, without illusions or self-deception. Today, we are going to explore one of the most controversial topics: why married women are the easiest prey. This is not about judgment or morality. It's about the nature of human desires, social constraints, and the illusions that many people live under. We will break this down from a Stoic perspective, without emotions, without condemnation, but with absolute clarity. You will learn the mechanisms behind this phenomenon, why it is so common, and most importantly, how to avoid falling into the trap, whether on one side or the other. Before we begin, if you appreciate this content, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with your friends. It helps spread Stoic wisdom and makes us all stronger. Now, let's dive into this topic. To understand why married women often become easy prey, we must first examine the deeper motives behind human behavior. Stoicism teaches us to see things as they are, not as we wish them to be. Human beings are driven by desires, emotions, and the influence of their environment. Marriage, as a social institution, is meant to provide stability, but it does not override fundamental psychological needs. 1. The nature of desire and dissatisfaction. One of the key principles of Stoicism is distinguishing between what is within our control and what is not. Our desires fall into a domain where we either govern ourselves or become slaves to emotions. Many women enter marriage following social expectations. They anticipate happiness, stability, and predictability. But over time, reality often differs from their expectations. Romance fades, responsibilities turn into routine, and a husband may stop giving attention. Love is replaced by habit, passion by monotony. Stoicism teaches that the external world is ever-changing, and relying on it for happiness is a mistake. However, most people do not realize this. They try to fill the emotional void and seek validation elsewhere. 2. The psychology of approval and lack of attention. Humans naturally crave recognition. It is one of our fundamental survival instincts. A woman who lacks emotional engagement from her husband becomes susceptible to external attention. A casual flirt, a compliment, an interested gaze, all of these trigger the brain's dopamine reward system. This effect is known in psychology as emotional deprivation. If a person is deprived of a certain type of interaction for a long time, they will start seeking it elsewhere. This does not mean all women are ready to cheat, but it explains why some become vulnerable to the attention of another man. 3. Social mechanisms and the illusion of morality. We live in a world where moral standards often conflict with natural desires. Society condemns infidelity but turns a blind eye to the reasons behind it. Marriage is considered the highest form of relationship, yet it often survives not because of love, but because of fear, dependency, or comfort. From a Stoic perspective, any form of dependency is a weakness. If a person needs external validation, they become its slave. This is what makes married women easy prey. They are trapped by their emotions and by social norms that prevent them from being honest about their desires. 4. A Stoic perspective on the situation. The Stoics teach us to control our desires, see the truth, and not fall victim to emotions. When you understand that people act not out of malice but out of their weaknesses, you stop idealizing or demonizing them. This is the key truth. If you want to be strong, you must understand how other people's emotions work without falling prey to them yourself. 5. Historical examples. How this has worked in different eras. Ancient Rome and Stoic morality. In ancient Rome, when Stoicism was at its peak, marriage was not just a union between two people but also a social duty. However, even in this period, infidelity was widespread, especially among the aristocracy. The philosopher Seneca warned about the weaknesses of human nature and urged men not to let emotions control them. He said, "Truly free is the one who is free from his passions." This applies to those who fall into the trap of relationships with married women. The Middle Ages. The forbidden fruit is the sweetest. In medieval Europe, despite strict religious constraints, infidelity was common, particularly among the nobility. Ladies of the court, deprived of emotional connection with their husbands, often sought solace in affairs with knights. This confirms a simple truth: Emotional dissatisfaction is a universal factor that transcends time and culture. Modern times, new challenges, same problem. Today, the situation has not changed. Social media has made it easier to seek emotional comfort. Many women do not even consider such interactions as infidelity, justifying them as harmless flirtation. But for Stoics, any dependence on external validation is a form of weakness. 6. Practical advice. How to avoid the trap. Control your emotions. If you understand that attraction to a married woman or her interest in you is driven by emotions rather than reason, this is the first signal to stop. Do not allow yourself to become a tool of someone else's weakness. The Stoics taught us to be independent of the whims of others. If a woman seeks comfort on the side, she is acting out of her weakness. Do not be the one who reinforces her dependence. Focus on your own life and goals. Emotional involvement in such situations drains energy that could be directed towards self-development. Become the one who controls his fate rather than reacting to the desires of others. Remember the consequences. In the short term, an affair with a married woman may seem appealing, but in the long run, it almost always leads to problems, stress, and the destruction of inner peace. 7. Long-term consequences for everyone involved. Stoicism teaches us to look beyond the immediate moment and assess the long-term consequences of our actions. Many men who engage in relationships with married women fail to consider the inevitable outcomes. For the man involved, such a relationship often leads to emotional turmoil, secrecy, and anxiety. What begins as an exciting challenge turns into a constant source of stress. The thrill of the chase fades, replaced by the burden of deception. A Stoic knows that true tranquility comes from a life lived with integrity, not from being entangled in someone else's emotional chaos. For the married woman, the situation is just as complex. The initial excitement of being desired by another man may provide a temporary emotional high, but sooner or later, guilt, fear of exposure, and inner conflict emerge. If she remains in the marriage, she may feel trapped in a double life. If she leaves, she may face regret and uncertainty. In either case, she is not solving her problems but escaping from them. The husband, whether he is aware of the infidelity or not, also suffers. Even if he never finds out, the emotional distance between him and his wife grows. The foundation of their relationship weakens, creating tension, mistrust, and eventual collapse. From a wider perspective, such situations contribute to the erosion of trust in relationships and family structures. Society depends on stable relationships to function. When trust is repeatedly broken, cynicism spreads, and the next generation grows up with a distorted view of commitment and loyalty. 8. Exposing the illusions, the trap of romanticizing the affair. Many men believe that a relationship with a married woman is a demonstration of their desirability, charm, and power. They see themselves as the exception, the one man who can capture her heart in a way her husband could not. This is an illusion. The truth is that such relationships are rarely about the man himself. They are about what he represents, an escape, a moment of excitement, a contrast to routine. Once the excitement fades, so does the attraction. What remains is the realization that the entire connection was based on temporary emotions, not deep compatibility. A Stoic man understands that being truly attractive is not about seeking validation from someone who is emotionally vulnerable. True power comes from self-sufficiency, from being a man who does not need to prove his worth through such conquests. 9. The Stoic alternative, living with integrity and purpose. The ultimate question is, what is the better alternative? How should a man act when faced with such temptations? First, a Stoic should always remember his inner citadel, his core of strength and self-control. Instead of being pulled into the emotional storms of others, he must anchor himself in wisdom and reason. He should ask himself, does this action align with my values? Will this bring me long-term peace or short-term chaos? Second, he should focus on building his own life rather than being a character in someone else's drama. A man who pursues personal growth, mastery, and purpose does not need to seek validation through risky and ultimately unfulfilling relationships. Lastly, he should cultivate self-respect and discipline. A Stoic understands that real strength is not in taking what is easy but in resisting what is harmful. True masculinity is about control over oneself, not over others. When a man lives by these principles, he naturally rises above fleeting temptations. He does not chase after married women because he understands that his time, energy, and dignity are too valuable to waste on something so fragile and unstable. Conclusion: embrace Stoic wisdom for true strength. In conclusion, the truth behind why married women can become the easiest prey lies in the emotional vulnerabilities and desires that all human beings experience. However, as Stoics, we understand that true strength comes from mastering ourselves, not being swayed by fleeting desires or the emotional chaos of others. By applying Stoic principles, you can avoid falling into these traps. The key is to focus on developing your inner strength, building a life of purpose, and resisting the temptations that lead only to short-term satisfaction and long-term regret. True peace comes from living a life of integrity, guided by wisdom, not by the whims of passion or the instability of others' emotions. Remember that your worth is not defined by external validation or the approval of others. It is defined by your own character, your decisions, and your ability to maintain peace amidst chaos. When you embrace Stoicism, you stop chasing empty validation and start living a life that aligns with your true self. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this content valuable, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We're working towards reaching our first 1,000 subscribers, and your support makes a huge difference. Stay true to yourself, keep applying Stoic wisdom, and I'll see you in the next video.